Well, hey now, everybody. It's the Rob from 106.1 Kiss FM here with my tag team partner in podcasting, the one, the only, Ramblin' Jerry Valeri. Good morning, Jer.
I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. Every time we do this, I look at the video. I am losing my hair, man.
What do you mean?
The hairline is going back much quicker than it used to, and it's stressing me out. Like, look at that. It's going back. It's back here now.
I feel like that's not so bad.
I've got this poof in the front, and it's the only thing protecting me from having the horseshoe head. Like, it's dire straits here.
The old Arn Anderson?
I don't want that. I don't want to look like Arn and Ole.
Well,
like I don't want that. Do you ever worry about that? What you're going to do when you go bald? Because it's inevitable for both of us, I think.
I'm not positive. Like, so Brittany's been giving me a hard time about. Mine's not up front, but mine's, and it's weird because we have the headphones going on. I've been wearing headphones literally for the past 4 hours, but like back here at the top of my head, what she doesn't know though is I've always been light on hair up there, and I've had like a swivel there. However, I will admit that swivel may be getting a bit more depressing as I'm, getting into my 30s.
Well, and you don't let your hair get very thick. You've never been one to have a thick cut. Like you cut your hair pretty short, which will reveal a lot of the thinness.
Yeah. So, but I I remember even on stuff like when I was in broadcasting class or on backyard wrestling tapes, like Brett would always make fun of me for going bald. But that was 15 years ago, and I was just like explaining. I explained to him like that swivel has always been a part of my head. I don't know how else to put it. It's just right around the cone of my head. There's like a swivel, and
for me, someone took a picture from the back, and I saw like it's starting to get thin here in the back, and listen. I don't know how you can handle Brittany telling you that you're going bald and not getting upset. I don't know how you don't get it, because my sister mentioned it 2 years ago when it wasn't even bad. She mentioned it at Thanksgiving at my mom's house. She was behind me on the couch, and she said, "Oh, you're starting to get Dad's hair. You're losing it." And it took me 15 minutes before I melted down, and I told the whole family to go F and stick it, and I did. I melted down, and it was over something completely unrelated, but that's why. I was like, "No, I'm going bald, am I? Drink. Well, let's tell you what I think about you all now." I don't listen. My mom was so mad at me. Ruined Thanksgiving.
Well, here's the thing. So I don't get mad if Brittany tells me that if it's honest, and I think that she thinks it is. And here's the thing: like when someone says that about you, you're always going to be wrong. You can't defend yourself. But I try, and so I have a person who cuts my hair. It's not like I go to the same person every time, and I've asked that person, do you think my hair is getting thinner? She's been cutting my hair for several years, and she says no. And she said she'd tell me if she thought it was, but it's always been like that up top, and I don't know that I'm losing it. But like I said, when someone says that about you, you can't say I'm not going bald. I have no defense,
Right. And my girl has been kind of honest with me. She's cutting my hair a little differently, and she's telling me, "Hey, instead of parting it there on top, why don't you pull it all forward in the middle?" So she's helping me cover my bases. But at what point does it become a comb over? Because I don't want to do that. I don't want it. I'm never going to dye my beard, and I'm never going to use a comb over.
See, you're using words like never, and like I'm not locking in on anything when it comes to this because I don't know what it. Yeah,
I'm locking in on never dyeing my beard and stuff. Like people look ridiculous. 60-year-olds with jet black beards look ridiculous. You're not fooling anybody.
I can probably lock in on never dyeing my hair.
Right.
But what I'll do to style it, I'm not locking in on that.
Okay.
Anyway, welcome to the podcast, everybody.
Hey, we do talk about wrestling sometimes.
Would you ever commit to like the full shave, like the Steve Austin King Kong Bundy?
I don't want to, but I think that I will. I think that's going to be my choice because I don't want to have horseshoe head and I don't want to do a comb over. So it gives me very little other options.
I feel like horseshoe head, I'd rather have horseshoe head than the Steve Austin.
Right. especially with the head the size of ours. Like, we have some cantaloupes.
Yeah, we do.
Man.
So I don't, I guess I don't know how we got onto this.
Oh, because I was freaking out and looking at myself in the camera here.
Yeah. Well, we do a lot of stuff with video on our stations. Like, we've got webcams going, and we turn our bits into videos sometimes. So I'm less surprised by how ugly I am than you are.
Yeah, I go back and I'm like, oh, I really want to enjoy this podcast, but I don't want to look at myself because it's terrible to see what's happened.
Our last podcast was maybe my favorite. The middle portion when you discover Lana's pictures.
Oh my God, you gave me a gift. It's the best. That's a belated Christmas gift if I've ever seen one.
One place Jerry's not going bald is the palm of his hands.
No, I'm growing hair all over them.
So that was I just thought that was a joy to listen to. And I loved, if you missed yesterday's podcast, please go back and check the next episode on the playlist, because I thought Jerry especially was just hysterically funny.
I'm just honest. I took care of business.
And we haven't even, did you do it there in the studio?
Listen, I will not. Do you want plausible deniability or what?
All right. Fair enough. And you know what? The great thing about you is I know you personally, and you could very well be telling the truth. And that's what I love about you. The
people that know me the most always like me the least.
Not me. No, we're cut from the same cloth.
Yes, we are.
Good for you. I'm happy. You know what? If I somehow inspired you to do something at work like that, I feel wonderful about that.
Let's say this. Rob knows so much about me. That's why when we see each other, we always hug, but we never shake hands. Not ever.
We're picking a good episode to be completely off the rails on, because I only have so few notes from last night's SmackDown. I'm going to be honest. While I'll give the tie to SmackDown this week, I don't think last night's SmackDown was much better than the Raw before it.
Oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. We disagree. Do we disagree or what?
Okay, well, I do think it was a little better. Let's get into it. So sure, defend yourself.
I feel like it runs away with it. I all night I was fighting the urge to write to you, because I didn't know if you'd seen it yet or not. Writing like one word to describe SmackDown for me is fun. The show's just fun from beginning to end. It's so much fun, and it never really stops. It never slows down. And what they use as filler is really still compelling and good content. You know, I don't have the whole show breakdown in front of me, but I liked every little thing that they did. They did nothing last night that bothered me except the announced team being too big and Otunga sucking. Like, if we get past those two things that are always going to stay the same.
I don't think so. I think eventually Otunga's going to go.
I love the Dean Ambrose Miz thing. I think they're doing a really good job with that.
Yeah, I agree.
I like how they're setting that whole thing up. I'm enjoying the Wyatts and the dynamic between Orton and Luke Harper, and I'm finally okay with Orton being in the Wyatts. We're far enough removed from it making no sense to it being interesting. Their feud with American Alpha is a lot of fun. I think that's great. I think working in Baron Corbin into Cena and AJ Styles is really cool to see, because they're given a big rub to Baron Corbin. I love the Dolph Ziggler heel turn. Ellsworth, Carmelsworth, I'm liking that. It's just the whole show. So, I just enjoyed it on a very visceral level, and I will say that I would give it an A, because I never got bored. Not at all. It was a fun 2-hour wrestling show.
So while you had, and I'll address everything you just said, some of which I agree with, some of which I have things I want to add to. Like, for example, you have your things that bother you that will never change. For me, SmackDown still has an advantage and a disadvantage. Number one, the advantage is that the show is 2 hours as opposed to 3. 2 hours is the perfect length for a wrestling show.
It is.
I can't stand Raw. That's 3 hours. However, the Tuesday thing is hard for me, because I'm burnt out on Raw by the time SmackDown rolls around. So
if you put SmackDown on Monday night for 2 hours, you'd be pumped.
You're probably right. So there's that. I'll agree with you. I'm all in on Miz and Ambrose. I've got no complaints there. When it comes to the Wyatt family, a complaint would be that, I mean, it was a rematch again, you know, and I know that the American Alpha technically won the titles in like a fatal 4-way or whatever it was, but like they dub it as, you know, the championship rematch so that the Wyatts can get they enacted their rematch clause.
But it's advancing the story. I usually give a pass if it's a rematch, but it doesn't end cleanly and they're moving forward on a feud. And I think they're moving forward on a big feud.
I used to be with you there, except for SmackDown is suffering from this big problem of excessive rematches. And look at the match they signed for next week. They signed Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss again. Yeah. And like, how many times over the past month have we seen this match? And I'm not even saying it's bad. I'm just saying you're not giving us any time to breathe this angle. To, you know, it's, I know you got the La Luchadora stuff going on, and I know they didn't fight this week or last week, but like, I don't have stuff happen outside of a match, please. And I don't care if it's in a cage, because I've seen them wrestle 10 times in the past year. That, you know, you got to space it out more for me to be into this.
Well, that's what I like about Ambrose and Miz. You know, there were a lot of weeks where it was just, you know, Renee Young getting slapped or Miz getting ambushed by security guard Dean Ambrose, and they have a title match, but then they fight during Ambrose Asylum instead. And so, like, they're doing it with some cases, and then others they're just throwing rematch after rematch at you.
Yeah, and so there's a right and wrong way to do it, and I just feel like with SmackDown especially, but also on Raw, we're getting them in mass. And the reason we're getting them in such mass is because of these limited rosters. And I don't like that aspect of, I'm not even going to say SmackDown, I'll just say wrestling in general right now. It's driving me nuts.
I feel like a lot of the guys on Raw, even the guys that I really love, are coming off a bit uninspired, and it's a lot of it's falling flat and putting Stephanie everywhere and Mick Foley too much. It's just not working for me, and SmackDown is. And I have a theory, and I really feel like, even though we see it as it's the WWE, they split the brand, but it's still the WWE. I think a lot of the guys that got picked to be on SmackDown, which nobody's kidding around here, we know it's a B show, and in the locker room, they probably know it in their heart too, no matter what is being said, that it is considered a B show. So they're probably saying it's not going to be a B show. I'm telling you, every single person on that roster, when they get a chance on TV, you can see, even if it doesn't go so well, Apollo Crews, they're trying their best. Everybody's trying to bring their A game. Ambrose is better now. AJ Styles is AJ Styles. John Cena, I think, is sharper than he has been in a long time. Baron Corbin has stepped it up. Bray Wyatt, like, everybody seems to just be like, you know what? Everybody made fun of our roster because they thought we all sucked, and we're going to give you a better show. And I bet the writers feel the same way, and SmackDown's just coming out, killing it. It's a wrestling show that I really like. A+. A+.
Well, I won't go A+ far, but I will say that everything you just said up until the A+, I agree with 100%. Those guys that you all mentioned have all stepped it up, have shown up to, you know, with something to prove, and that's great. I also want to give SmackDown another compliment. So here is something that's important, and SmackDown, I feel, is doing a pretty good job of this for the most part. So there's an aspect of the Attitude Era that I've talked about with my buddy John before in private. It doesn't come up, but there was an attitude, there was an attribute of the Attitude Era that people don't really discuss, but in my opinion is true. One of the underappreciated things in the Attitude Era was that at any point in time, and every point in time, everybody was in an angle, and everybody had definable characteristics. Like, for example, even if you're talking like a low-level guy, like a Crash Holly, I could still tell you 3 guys he didn't like, 2 guys he did like, guys he was feuding with, you know, what championship he's aspiring for. Like, you could have a character profile for every guy on the roster in the Attitude Era. You know what I mean by that?
I exactly.
So
and SmackDown has that.
SmackDown's getting there.
Well, it's complex writing, but it's clean writing because, you know, you could say that about Raw Monday night. You know, they're working everybody into these multiple angles, and they're letting angles kind of flow into one another. But on Monday night, when they did it with Rollins and Braun and Goldberg and everybody and Stephanie, it was just so muddled. I didn't know what was going on. It was just too much.
Yeah,
too much in 12 minutes.
Muddled was the beginning of Raw was very muddled, and SmackDown's like getting there. And like, while everyone's in an angle, I feel like they could still benefit from, like, you know, so like, all right, I know Apollo Crews is mad at Ziggler, but that's all I really know about Apollo Crews. I could go for more of a personality profile on Apollo Crews. Same with like someone like Corbin. Corbin's mad at Cena. And that's really his one thing. Everyone could use some more dimension, I feel like, but at least everyone's got something going on.
Yeah, and Corbin wants that belt. Corbin wants to prove himself. I really hope that Corbin pans out because I like his look.
I agree.
I like his style. He's so big.
He's full of potential.
He's full of potential.
Just like Apollo Crews is. And
they're giving him a really good opportunity here. You know, he's just a placeholder for a second in the AJ Styles John Cena thing, but it's still he's fighting John Cena, and John Cena's giving him credit, calling him the toughest guy in the room and the biggest guy in the room, and that's got to help you.
Yeah, like Cena's got stuff going on. Like, Cena is mad at AJ. He wants the title back. He's upset with Corbin, thinks he's tough. Is just returning, is looking to become a 16-time world champion like Ric Flair. Like, he's got stuff going on. You know, AJ, you know, I guess the Ambrose thing is kind of over. The Ellsworth thing is kind of over. And now it's just kind of focused on John Cena, where I think, like, you can have more than one thing going on per person. You can focus on one, but have it be more of an umbrella with stuff, if that makes sense.
I love AJ Styles. I never did TNA, so this is new for me. But he's so good in every aspect. And when he goes and he's talking to Baron Corbin before the match, he's like, "Do your best AJ Styles impression," and beat up John Cena. Yeah. And he just smiles and he comes out to the ring. And then out of the 5 people at the announcer desk,
right. With AJ, you have 5.
He was the 3rd best announcer.
Yeah, no, and since you didn't watch him in TNA, just take my word when I say, since he's been in WWE, he has stepped his mic game up big time.
Was he not usually a big mic guy?
Yeah, he was. I don't know, maybe if it was his character, but he was just kind of goofy and not serious, and I would not look forward to him on the mic. I would salivate at the thought of a match. Anytime he got in the ring, I loved it. But yeah, his mic work. And I mean, even someone like Bret Hart, who is my favorite of all time, #1, not the best on the mic. To me, I care more about what you do in the ring than what you say on the mic. But it's important for everyone to be able to. I mean, Bret could carry his own, and AJ could too, but AJ has stepped it up.
Do you think AJ's doing well on the mic now, though? Because I would consider him very good on the mic.
Yeah, I think he's doing a good job. Yeah, I would agree with that.
That's awesome. My line of the night was from James Ellsworth when he said, "I haven't gotten a new suit since I was supposed to graduate from high school."
I've been waiting for this moment for 32 years. I had one note about that segment, and that note was that awful moment when you realize James Ellsworth is actually younger than you.
Right. He is younger. He's had a hard 32 years.
I mean, I'm assuming he meant he's 32 years old, and I'm 33, and I was like, I thought for sure he was a few years older than me.
I thought he was 55. Like he is super aged.
This is like the coming of age episode for us. Like, you're worried about going bald. I'm worried that I'm older than James Ellsworth.
Right. This is tough for us, grumpy old men.
We really are having a tough time with this episode.
I also like the line, and I can't remember which of the 4 freaking guys said it, but it was during Carmella's match, and it was like, it looks like she's fighting somebody's aunt.
Yeah, Millie Burke. Who did they even reference? I was kind of watching out of the corner of my eye there that she is clearly trying to. Her name is inspired by a super old school female wrestler named Mildred Burke. Did they address that at all?
I don't think they addressed it at all, but she reminded me of like the Glow wrestlers, the gorgeous ladies of wrestling.
Well, just
like it was that style.
I know that the machine behind you is usually used for finding naked photos of women, but just Google image search Mildred Burke, and you'll see exactly what I mean. I'm not gonna lie and say like she's one of my favorites or that I've seen a lot of matches of Mildred, but I know the name. And I know that she was, I want to say like maybe a 50s, 60s wrestler.
1950s. She was a champ in the 50s. She is in a bikini. It looks like a dude in a bikini.
But isn't that kind of who she looked like last night?
There she is. Yeah, absolutely. Now by comparison, let me do Millie Burke.
You might not find much on her.
Come on.
I bet you that just became her name last night. Personally. I doubt that's the name she uses.
Oh, there's just a picture of a poor woman with a black eye. That's not her. Okay, never mind. I found there is a Millie Burke out there that has been involved with domestic violence. I'm very sorry, Millie. Live people.
So there was that, and I have a few more things. So I actually want to at least wrap up my notes by going back to the things you said, because at the top of the show you said the things that you liked that you gave an A+ to, and I said I've got things I want to add to them. Like for example, the Dolph Ziggler thing that is going pretty well. I think I'm worried that see here's what should happen with this Dolph Ziggler thing. Because he's kind of feuding with two guys at the moment, right? Like he's got Kalisto and he's got Cruz, right?
Right, but it's not even that he's feuding with them as much as he's just lost his mind and he's taking it out on Kalisto and he's beating Kalisto, and Cruz is coming out to defend his friend and to stick up for his friend, and I think we're going to get an unhinged Dolph Ziggler. He was reminding me of Brian Pillman last night. And that was a good thing. And
I like that it's happening slowly. Like slowly he's turning. And like one of my notes was that Ziggler he's not fully a heel yet. Like he's still kind of justifiable with what he's doing, and he's not cutting the heel promos. So is he a heel or not? Sometimes that's a complaint, but with this, I like the slow character development stuff. I like the slow burn, and I like that he's turning slowly. That's totally cool. But what needs to happen here is those two guys, Cruz and Kalisto, need to come out of this looking good. This is Cruz's he really needs something that's going to elevate him. And
he needs I don't think he's going to save himself on the mic. I don't know if he's very good, and his personality sucks with that smiling all the time. I think the only thing that's going to save him here is if he ends up putting on 5-star matches.
Well, Ziggler's the guy to do it with, and if Ziggler can get him over, he should be on Cruz's Christmas card list every day, because he's the guy to do it, and Cruz needs it. I mean, Cruz is on a lifeboat, man.
That was the first time I've seen Cruz's entrance theme for months.
Probably. I don't even think he got one at the SummerSlam.
No, remember he started. He started with the big debut, and it looked good. And then you pointed it out, and I don't remember when, but the kiss of death is when they come back from commercial and you're already in the ring.
Yeah, when they skip your entrance and you're already in the ring. That's what they do with enhancement talent.
Yes, Millie Burke got no entrance.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So there was that. So that's going well and has potential to be okay. And then
did I change your mind at all, or are you still giving a tie to SmackDown and Raw?
Okay, yeah, SmackDown was the better show for sure. I'm gonna say I was a little just burnt out, heading into this week. And plus, like I said, I've been watching a ton of wrestling outside of the live shows anyway. So SmackDown was fairly the better show. I will say decidedly the better show. It was not an A+. You're not going to get me that far, but it was the better show last night.
And I think I'm digging their feuds more. I'm getting tired of the feuds on Raw. And
then I want to address Cena and Corbin for a second. It's again a mixed bag. It's good and bad. I do think that Corbin could come out of this. Doesn't even need to go over Cena when this thing is over. He could come out of this looking really strong. He needs that too. I wouldn't say he's quite on the same lifeboat as Apollo Crews, but he's delicate right now. And if you drop him bad, it could break him. and let's not break him because I think he's got potential. However, in that same breath, I do think it was too early for this Cena Corbin match. Let more stuff happen. I don't need it to just be thrusted into a match. I could have waited till the next SmackDown pay-per-view.
Right. I could have. Let Corbin be a pain in everybody's side without having to lose cleanly to anybody.
Yeah, but I mean, he's going to get a superstar rub from being around AJ and Cena, and I don't see him beating Cena in this feud, but you can come out of a feud with Cena looking really. I mean, look at all the guys that he did with the U.S. Open tournament, or the U.S. Open Challenge.
But we could have a very cool feud between Baron Corbin and AJ Styles. I never mind two heels fighting each other. When Cena wins the title from AJ Styles, I have no problem with Baron Corbin and AJ fighting for a little bit until Cena gets through his WrestleMania obligation.
Yeah, I'm kind of not looking towards Styles yet. I mean, he could be a logical next step, but I don't think the Cena one's over. I think he's going to be in a program with Cena through February, and I didn't need that match. Why does every feud have to start with a match,
Right.
So that's my only other thought. So, yeah, I mean, I would say it was definitely the better show. I'm not going to give it an A+, but
I keep changing my mind on my WrestleMania booking, by the way. Now I think Cena's going to be fighting The Undertaker.
And I actually have a thought, too. You asked me last week who I thought was going to face Roman Reigns for the title. And I don't know why I just started getting a feedback over there, but we're about to wrap it up anyway, so don't worry about it.
Here we go.
And I immediately regretted my choice. And as I was listening back to yesterday's podcast, I now have a new itinerary in my head for Reigns.
Who was your original for him?
I said Rollins. Even though I still think Rollins is going to be a Triple H, I thought Rollins was a good choice. And that was a bad answer because I have a better answer now.
Oh, are you picking Goldberg?
No, I'm not. I still think Goldberg and Lesnar.
Well, who is it?
It's going to be Roman and Strowman, I think.
Oh, you think they'd give Strowman a main event at WrestleMania?
Here's the thing. So you've got so many other big matches that it won't go last, I don't think. And yeah, I kind of think that might be where they're going with him. And I haven't heard, this was one that's fully my brainchild. Like I haven't seen this thrown around anywhere yet.
Right.
But you've got Rollins with Triple H, I think. You've got Goldberg with Lesnar. You've got Taker with Cena, I think.
I think Taker might win the Royal Rumble. Because I see Cena winning the belt, and I see Taker fighting Cena for the belt at Mania, which would be the main event.
I actually think if Taker wins the Rumble, I would think that he would go against Styles, maybe. I don't know. This is good because so many different variables could happen I love Rumbles like this.
This is a good Rumble. There were some Rumbles where we're like, oh, Chris Benoit is going to win this Rumble, and he does.
Yeah.
Or Roman Reigns is going to win this Rumble, and he does.
Right. And we don't have any runaways with this Rumble. So many people could win. And then you see even Baron Corbin is in the Rumble, and that's not an out of the realm of possibility.
No, could you imagine that's how he gets his match with AJ Styles or John Cena?
Yeah, it's totally possible. So
I don't think they do it. But with those big guys, Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, Undertaker, they don't need to win the Royal Rumble.
Absolutely not.
You give someone a main event shot that wouldn't get it otherwise because they won the Rumble. It becomes that's the prize. Then we're cooking with gas. Yeah, I'm excited for this Royal Rumble. The matches leading up to the match, and then the Royal Rumble match itself.
So, anything you want to throw in before we sign off?
No, I feel like you look really good today. I want to tell you, you look good, and your hair looks great.
Hey, you look fantastic. I actually feel like you're getting younger every time I see you. Every podcast, if you just watch them in order, I see a man getting younger. I almost feel like I'm watching him backwards.
It's like Benjamin Button over here.
Yeah. So kudos to you, Jaron. Thank you for always making the time for me and for the audience here with Post to Post. We love
Having a great time. SmackDown was an A+. I'm glad we can agree on that.
For myself, the Rob, my tag team partner, Ramblin' Jerry V, the full head of hair, the 80s perm. Thank you for watching. We'll be back again with another episode on Tuesday. Beautiful.